Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing something to the Focus, which is a bit of preventative maintenance and also a bit of performance, almost kind of, and aesthetic at the same time, and it's super cheap. And this is what we're going to be installing. I'll explain to you what this is and then we'll do it. So you guys will have seen a few times on the channel me removing this pipe right here. So it's a pipe that comes up from the charge pipe through a little box with a diaphragm in it and then up and under the wiper cowl into the cabin. Now this little box is called a Symposer, and if you know anything about Fords, you'll know they fit this to a lot of their models. It's basically a rubber diaphragm that sends intake noise into the cabin. The problem with this is they are a known boost leak spot. So it's very common for them to be deleted, and that's what we're doing today, and that's what this is for. So this is just essentially a bung which goes onto the end of that pipe, so that this whole section and what's under the wiper cowl can be removed. So this is going to be a fairly basic job. First things, we've got to remove the wiper cowl, the tray under it, so that we can remove this part of the pipe. And then to remove this part of the pipe, we just pull it out of the bung, 2 bolts to remove from the bracket, and then the 1 hose clamp, well 2 hose clamps really, to install that bung, and then this just gets thrown in the bin. So we'll get started and do that now. Real quick before we get started guys, being back in the engine bay Focus has reminded me how bad I want to get rid of this god awful intake. But I don't want to spend all that money on an intake if you guys aren't interested in seeing that sort of stuff. So if this video gets 300 likes, I'll buy an intake and we'll install it on the Focus. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So first off guys, like I said, going ahead and removing the wiper blade and wiper cowl assembly. I've done this a few times now, so it's pretty simple. Just some 15mm nuts to hold on those 2 wipers, a few little clips that hold on the cowl, and then you can pull that piece off and reveal the 2 T30s that are underneath it. Now that that's removed, you can see that piece of the Symposer I'm pulling out now. I just fed it back up through its hole. Now all of this is out of the way, I can just start to remove this other part of the Symposer. Just pull this rubber piece out with the Symposer attached to it. And that gives me access to these 2 nuts which I need to remove. And that will give me a bit more space to get that tricky hose clamp off, which is going to be the main part of this job really. So once you've got to this stage where you've removed everything else, this is where it starts to get a bit tricky. You'll see this is the Symposer, which I've pushed over to the side, and that is the first hose clamp you've got to get off, the easiest of the 2. And if you have a pair of pliers like this, it will be a lot easier. You can also, I find, it's helpful to use these kind of pliers as well. Which not many people use those, but I do. Anyway, yeah, just got to get that off and use these. So this part is a bit tricky, but you just got to stick at it. Make sure you try break that rubber seal to pull the Symposer off. So here's the actual Symposer, and you can see a bit better. That's the pipe. That's where the pipe was on it. And what you're going to want to do to get these off is you can use like a pick like this and put it under the rubber, and then just shift it around to break that seal, and then you can sort of twist this and get it out. Now, if you were replacing that pipe as well, which I'm not because I didn't order it, then I think you'd also have to take that pipe off, but I don't think I really need to. I'm just going to try get in there with a mirror, inspect it. It does feel a little bit collapsed, to be honest, but I'll take a better look at it now. So, I don't know if you can see those cracks there, just right by my finger. On the corner of that pipe there, those cracks. That's why people replace this part of the hose, because of those cracks. Mine haven't gone all the way through to the inside yet, so I'm not too fussed about that. So what I'm just going to do is put a bit of silicone grease on the pipe to sort of lube it up and bring it back to life a little bit. And if you also notice, the way that my hose has been put on, this bottom clamp, the 2 tangs are literally facing backwards, so it's like impossible for me to get it off unless I take the whole intake manifold off, which I haven't got the pipe anyway, and not doing that today. Probably something I'll do when I take the intake manifold off to do my AirTech plenum at some point. So for now, just going to be lubing up the bung as well, putting it in there, and then putting the clamp back on, and then it's basically tidying the rest of the stuff up. So that's literally all it is, guys. Just bunged off that pipe now. And as you can see right here where I've put that silicone grease on that pipe just to lube it up a little bit. And also I'm not actually worried about that leaking because I know it already doesn't, because I've smoke tested the car. So I know that it's not leaking at the minute. If I do ever have issues in the future, that'll be one of the things I address. And hopefully before then I'll end up putting that pipe on. It's made the whole engine bay just look a lot cleaner as well. I have seen people get coloured silicone ones. They do look cool, but I was on a bit of a budget. But yeah, that does make the engine bay look a lot nicer. People say it does give a bit more performance as well, because now they say you'll get a bit more torque, because instead of charged air, so air that the turbo's produced, that should be going into your intake manifold to the engine to make power, it was going all through here just to feed some noise. And the back of the Symposer looked like this, just went into there for no reason. So I'm just going to remove that with those 2 screws, close up that hole just with a bit of duct tape and stuff, clean that off, and then I'll go ahead and reinstall stuff. But yeah, nice little mod. So that's the other piece of the Symposer, the bit that points towards the cabin. It does work surprisingly well. You do hear the intake noise, but it's like a weird whistle kind of thing. But I did quite like it. I thought it sounded cool. But I wanted to remove it for cleaning up the engine bay, potentially a bit of performance, removing potential boost leak, and when I get my intake and exhaust one day, this won't matter at all anyway. So like I said, now I just want to clean this up a bit, put a bit of duct tape over it just in case any water gets in. I don't want it leaking down, because it'll leak down onto the manifold and stuff, get all that wet. So do that, and then ready to put back together. You guys have seen the wiper cowl stuff go on loads of times on my channel, so instead of showing you it again, well, that's a lot easier. So guys, this is looking so much cleaner now, much nicer not to have that Symposer in the way. Gonna make it a bit easier to work on and stuff like that as well. And like I said, I've listed so many benefits for it, and it's so cheap. From OEM denied, I paid like $15 New Zealand for mine, and they're super cheap in the UK as well, so there's pretty much no reason to keep that Symposer. So let me know what you guys liked about this video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.